One day at the hospital where I work, I ran into a friend of my mom's named Karen. She looked at me in surprise and said, "What are you doing here? You're out of place. If you're looking for a job, you won't find one. Go back home." Karen's comment shocked the doctors around us. They didn't know what to say. I thought, what is she talking about? I hope this doesn't turn into a big issue. It might be too late already. It seemed Karen didn't realize that making an enemy of me was not a good idea. I couldn't keep quiet anymore and confronted her. "Karen, you really don't hold back, do you? Or do you just not get it?" Looking confused, she answered, "Huh? What are you talking about?" "My name is Olivia. I'm 37 years old, a mother of an active 9-year-old daughter and a playful 2-year-old son. My husband, Jackson, who is 3 years younger than me, is a dedicated nurse at a general hospital. I used to work too, but since having our second child, I've been on maternity leave. We once lived in a small 3-bedroom apartment, but before our son was born, we moved into a second-hand house with a loan. It needs some work but could be a cozy home. It has a big garden for the kids to play in and a rooftop balcony with a calming view. The house is old, which adds to its charm, and my husband and I really like it. Near our house is a beautiful park where the kids can play all they want, and it's our little paradise on weekends. Late in my second pregnancy, I met a mom in that park who introduced herself as Karen. Since her daughter and mine are the same age and often play together, Karen and I became friends and had many conversations. Karen always wears bright designer clothes, and her daughter is dressed in well-known brands. When I found out Karen worked as a surgeon at a well-known hospital, I guessed it might be the same one where my husband Jackson works. Out of curiosity, I asked her about it, and to my surprise, she did work there. Excited by this coincidence, she said with sparkling eyes, "This is such a coincidence. I'd love to meet your husband." So we decided to invite her over for tea the next weekend. On the promised Sunday, Karen and her daughter came to our house. But as soon as she walked in, she started looking around suspiciously, as if she was searching for something. "This house feels old. Did you inherit it from your family?" she asked. "No," I replied. "We bought it secondhand and moved in just last year. It is indeed old." As my husband spoke, Karen examined each piece of furniture as if she was evaluating its worth. We were taken aback by her rudeness. Meanwhile, the children played happily in the playroom, and only the adults were quietly enjoying tea in the living room. "Jackson, which department do you work in at the hospital?" Karen asked. "I work in the emergency department," Jackson said, a bit embarrassed. "But actually, I'm not a doctor, I'm a nurse. I support the doctors." "Really? You're a nurse?" she asked. "Yes, I graduated from medical school, but haven't passed the licensing exam yet. I plan to retake it next year." Karen's eyes widened, and she seemed to choose her words carefully. It's quite unusual to hear of someone graduating from medical school and not passing the licensing exam. Her next words made us uncomfortable. "Can a nurse's salary really support a family with children? Are you managing the mortgage payments and living expenses okay? Or is that why you chose an old secondhand house?" Her questions hurt us, and all we could do was give an erased smile. Karen made several more rude remarks, and we were speechless. After she left, I apologized to Jackson for the uncomfortable situation. "Jackson, I'm really sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable because of what Karen did. Maybe I should keep some distance from her from now on." "Don't worry about it," Jackson reassured me with a warm smile. "It was unexpected, but her personality certainly stands out. It's good to connect with other moms in the neighborhood, but I decided it would be best to not get too involved with Karen in the future." As time passed, new changes came to our family. I reached full term and safely gave birth to our second son. After celebrating his first birthday, I started to think about returning to work. Luckily, Jack's parents live nearby and have been a great help with the kids. Then, one day, I had some business at the hospital where my husband works. With some time before my meeting, I grabbed a hot coffee at the hospital cafe, and was taking a moment to relax when I heard a familiar voice behind me. It was Karen. Oh my, isn't that Olivia? It's been such a long time. Hello, Karen. How have you been? Good. What brings you here today? Are you here to see Jackson? Maybe for a job interview or something? It must be tough on just Jack's income, right? Her tone was sarcastic, and she had a smug look as she spoke. Wanting to avoid a troublesome conversation, I responded lightly, well, something like that. However, Karen continued to pry, looking me over. This hospital has various stores, right? So where are you working part-time? At the convenience store or maybe the restaurant? After a brief silence, I curtly replied, sorry, it's about time for my appointment. I quickly left the cafe and moved swiftly through the hospital. I took the elevator to the top floor. My destination was the director's office, where I had an important job consultation. After about an hour of discussion, I headed to the large auditorium of the university for my next appointment. There was an important announcement scheduled that afternoon with all the hospital staff gathered. On the way to the auditorium by chance, I ran into Jackson. Jackson, that's great. After the director's talk, let's go for lunch together, I suggested. Sounds good. It's a bit of a walk, but how about pasta? He offered with a smile. The pasta place behind the hospital sounds good. I haven't been there in a long time. I'm actually looking forward to it, I agreed happily. It had been a while since I had been to the hospital, so lunch with my husband was a rare treat. In the hallway to the auditorium, I ran into several doctors and engaged in brief conversations while exchanging greetings. Jackson moved ahead quickly, and I followed at a leisurely pace towards the passageway leading to the auditorium. I met some colleague doctors. Olivia, it's really been a while, and I heard you had a child. Congratulations, they said warmly. Another doctor joined in. Olivia, you were such a big help here. We've been in quite a stir since you left, he said with a laugh, hinting at their struggles. Then another asked with interest, is your turn imminent? The reunion was comforting, filled with nostalgia and relief to see my colleagues well. But the atmosphere quickly changed when Karen appeared. Olivia, why are you here? Karen asked curiously. Are you heading to the auditorium by any chance? Yes, that's right. I have some business, I responded modestly yet clearly with several colleagues around. But Karen's questions grew more pressing. But the gathering is only for doctors and nurses, right? Why would a part-timer be here? She asked, not hiding her skepticism. Her remark brought silence to the corridor, a silence that felt heavy. A part-time lady like her, a doctor muttered. Is she okay? Another murmured worriedly. I tried to ignore Karen's words, not wanting to stir up unnecessary trouble. However, Karen seemed only more provoked. Why are you ignoring me? It's like you don't think at all. You, Karen exclaimed with a sneer. Lost your way? The auditorium isn't this way. If you're looking for part-time work, go the other direction. Now, please leave, she commanded, looking down on me. The doctors present were appalled by Karen's behavior, but they stood by me, trying to diffuse the situation. They raised their voices in unison against Karen. Disappointment and anger were evident on their faces, and their voices contained a strong sense of rejection toward her actions. Hold on, what kind of way is that to speak to Olivia? Don't you have any manners? Apologize to her right now, they demanded, not just disapproving but reproaching Karen's conduct. The doctors gathered, looking tense, and confronted Karen. The atmosphere was charged with tension. Faced with the united front against her, Karen appeared confused and at a loss for words. What's going on? I just pointed out that she doesn't belong here. The meeting is only for relevant personnel, and she doesn't fit the bill, right? She tried to justify her stance. But my patience had reached its limit. With a composed tone, but with content sharp as a blade, I addressed Karen. Karen, you really are brave, aren't you? Or is it that you simply can't read the room? I critiqued calmly. Unable to find a rebuttal, she stared back at me perplexed. How? What did you just say? I calmly made my point clear. You'll understand soon enough.